and welcome to a new video series on my channel, all about Blood Bowl. Not specifically about how to play Blood Bowl, but more of a game style that I'm trying out of Blood Bowl based upon something that I watched and I didn't really took part in, but over on AP Gaming Real's YouTube channel, he ran a series called Solaris Knights, which was based on the Battletech universe, and basically had a series of episodes where each episode a player would play their character going into an arena fight with another mech warrior, and would play out that sort of, I guess, the pre-show, the battle, the post-show, and because I've been playing quite a bit of Blood Bowl recently, I thought I might try and do something similar with Blood Bowl as well. And so this first video series is something of a play test, we'll call it. So I've gotten together 4 players, so AP Gaming Real, Big Spoon 223, Firehammer 111, and Lawson PHX, Lawson 32 PHX, sorry, who will all be joining me for this inaugural Blood Bowl series, which will be a 7 series, but it will not just be playing Blood Bowl, it will also have some RPG elements to it as well. So this video is really to explain what the series is going to be, how it's going to work, and then I imagine the first games will kick off probably in the next week or so. So first off, I guess there's a bit of background. I've been playing quite a bit of Blood Bowl, the computer game recently, which is based on the 2016 rules. I've also been playing the Blood Bowl 2020 rules tabletop board game. And there's been some discussion around Blood Bowl on the Discord server for AP Game Real's channel, which I've been involved in, and so this is where this idea has come from. What I want each show to be will be so that the players themselves are actually playing as the team owners, team managers, whatever you want to say, for a Blood Bowl Sevens team. If you're not familiar with the story behind Blood Bowl, the Sevens teams are actually the amateur teams, effectively. So these are players who have day jobs, who go and play for fun. It's still just as deadly as regular Blood Bowl, but they're playing with the hope they'll get picked up by and employed by one of the major league teams in the actual proper Blood Bowl 11s tournament. Blood Bowl being an 11-player sport because 11 is the sacred number of Nuffle, the god upon which Blood Bowl is based. But Sevens is the more limited format. From a gaming perspective, it is 7 players rather than 11. Shorter halves, so only 6 turns aside. Smaller pitch, and you often have things like less re-roll. So it's a more unforgiving version, but it's much faster. In a couple of experienced Sevens players can get through a game easily in 40 or so minutes. So the idea here will be each episode will be the player coming on as their coach slash owner, talking through a few things, making a few rolls, sort of a bit of a role play in the context of a pre-game show, and then we will play through a game of Blood Bowl Sevens, probably do a bit of wrap up, and then move on to the next game. So I've got 4 players, but I've made an 8-team league, and I'll go through those teams shortly so you can see what they're like. And the idea here is that there are 4 player character teams and 4 NPC teams. So when a player would play an NPC, it will be the player versus me as the NPC team. When a player will play a player, then they will come on together and play on a show together with me, I guess, commentating or officiating. When an NPC team would play an NPC team, I'll resolve that off camera, probably with my son, and then there'll be maybe some highlights included into the next player game to tell you about what the situation is with the NPC teams and the overall league in general. Now, on top of the Blood Bowl rules, I've got and created a set of rules for the player characters to use, for which I've used the Powered by the Apocalypse gaming system for that. So, Powered by the Apocalypse is a very simple RPG system. Its core mechanic is you roll 2 dice, add them together. On a 6 or lower, what you want to do is failed. On a 7 to 9, it is succeeded with a consequence. Or on a 10 or higher, it is succeeded without consequence, basically. So it is a narrative dice system. Normally, for Powered by the Apocalypse, each player picks something called a playbook. You might call it a class in a different role-playing system, but playbooks are very simple. They usually give you some basic stats and a series of what are called moves, and moves are things that character can do uniquely. So I've created 8 playbooks for this playtest. So I've got the former player. So this is a either a mainstream or a sevens player who has retired and now runs a team for whatever reason. I've got the wealthy noble, obviously in the World of Blood Bowl, which is set in the Warhammer universe. You have all sorts of nobility in the various human factions particularly. So one of those has decided to put together a team. Can't afford a full-on team, but can afford to pay the 600,000 copper pieces required to start a sevens team. I've got the fledgling necromancer. Now, there's no undead teams in this particular group, and I didn't make undead teams available, but this is a necromancer who is experimenting on a living team prior to hopefully launching a full-on undead team in the 11s League later on. There is the cultist of Nuffle. So this is someone who honestly believes in Nuffle and the game and is focused on delivering the outcomes that Nuffle requires as per his sacred texts to protect the world by playing football in his name, basically. We've got the former corrupt official, so either a coach or a league official from the NAF who is now running a team but has lots of friends in the background to help them out. We've got the talent scout, and the talent scout is basically someone who has previously gone and placed players in teams but has decided that he's going to use those skills to run a full team now. I've got the de facto owner. So this is where a team has lost its owner, has lost its leadership, and for whatever reason, the last person left holding the bag, the assistant coach, the finance person, whatever, has just jumped in and taken over. And then finally, I've got the ascended fan. So this is where a fan base has decided we are going to pull our money together and we're going to start our own team, and it's going to be the team we love, and we're going to run it our way. So they were the 8 playbooks available to the player characters. In each of those playbooks, they have 4 key stats. So they have corporate, which covers anything to do with managing finances, getting sponsors, dealing with league penalties, for example. They have management, which is all about recruiting, retaining, keeping players happy, making sure you've always got a functioning roster. Promotion, which is about generating more fan base, doing media appearances, doing advertising. And then finally training, which covers improving players, managing injuries, scouting new talent, for example. So every playbook starts with one of those fixed by the playbook at 1. So that is +1 to all 2d6 rolls for that stat. And then every playbook gets to assign 2 zeros and a -1 to the other 3 stats. So every player will have 1 at +1, 1 at -1, and 2 at 0. And the one that's at +1 is fixed by their playbook. On top of that, each playbook has 4 moves. So those moves could be things like the former player being able to take the field himself in a desperate situation and play for a single drive. It could be the wealthy noble generating additional funds or getting sponsors. It could be the fledgling necromancer making a player not quite dead after a deadly encounter. Each playbook has 4 of those moves. And when the players first start, they get to pick one move that their coach knows straight away. So at the start, they will have their 4 stats, 1, 0, 0, -1, and they'll have one move. And then they can earn experience points. So experience points are given out for... so they get basically 1 XP every time they play, so 1 every round. They get a bonus if they win. They get a bonus for each touchdown they score. They get a bonus if the opposing team did not score any touchdowns during the game. And they get a bonus for every single opposing player removed from the game as a casualty. Even if that character or that player is returned because of something like an apothecary, the initial casualty will still count. So it's possible to, well, I guess there's no cap because you can get multiple casualties, multiple touchdowns. But, there's 5 XP opportunities per game they play. Every time a coach gets 6 XP, they can cash those 6 XP in for an upgrade. Those upgrades could be purchasing a new move from their current playbook, purchasing a move from a different playbook, which they can only do once in their entire career, increasing an attribute by 1, so that is their promotion, their management, their training, or their corporate, sorry. Or they can purchase a coach reroll, can be taken once per playbook. So that basically gives them a reroll they can use for any of the pre-game rolls. Or if they don't use it there, they can use it in-game as an extra reroll. Or they can finally use 6 XP to change to a new playbook. So they keep all the bonuses and benefits from their current playbook, They don't get anything when they move the new playbook straight away, but it basically opens up 4 full new moves that they can then go and get as part of that new playbook. So we've got AP, I believe, is going to be playing the Coldress and Nuffle. Lawson will be playing the Talent Scout. Fohammer is playing the Former Player. And Big Spoon is playing the Wealthy Noble. I'm not yet decided whether I will apply the playbook rules to the other 4 NPC teams. During Solaris Nights, AP did do that. He did it basically give each of the opposing players a playbook as well. I'm thinking that I won't, only because it gives the player characters an advantage. Obviously, it's going to suck if the NPC teams knock all the player teams out and go to the finals and it's just NPC teams. So we want to make sure the players have a leg up, and these playbooks are a way to do that. And also it means that I'd end up using one of each of the remaining 4 playbooks, so everyone will be in play, which makes it less exciting when someone takes a new playbook because they're just doubling up on something that already exists in the game. So that really is the setup there. So they're going to have, they'll join the game, we'll do a quick pre-game thing. There'll be 4 rolls at the start, so they'll roll corporate to work out what impact that will have on their game winnings, positive or negative. They'll roll management to work out the opportunities they've got to hire new players after the game. They'll roll promotion to affect the number of dedicated fans that join. And there will be training, which will affect the ability to basically give players pro for the match, or if they fail, give them loner for the match because they just haven't trained very well with the rest of the team. And that's it. That's the roleplay system. So then we'll just go into a regular Blood Bowl game. We're going to do it via Tabletop Simulator. I thought about using Blood Bowl 2, the computer game, for it, but the issue there was that it's based on the old 2016 rules. Not all the teams are there. And then I looked at, do we wait and do Blood Bowl 3 when it comes out, which is based on 2020, but they're releasing teams progressively. And overall, I had no way to take the special rules from the Powered by the Apocalypse stuff and put them into the Blood Bowl game. That is, player abilities to generate additional chances to not recover KO players or make them not dead. So we're going to do it via TTS. There is an absolutely fantastic TTS Tabletop Simulator adaptation by Vergond, I think his name is, with all the teams. You'll see it when we do the first game, but it looks great, it works great. So we're doing it all by TTS. So you're still going to follow the games. Let me point out, though, that I'm not a Blood Bowl expert. I'm not a competitive player. The players that are playing, this is really their first experience with Blood Bowl 2020. They've all had experience with Blood Bowl 2016 in the computer game, but they're not experts either. Do not come and watch this if you want to have top-tier, expert-level Blood Bowl play. Go and watch the guys like Ben and the guys at Bonehead Podcast. Honestly, the best channel out of Blood Bowl content. They do it really, really well. They know the game. They know all the one-turn touchdown plays. They know all the strategies. If you want a strategic view of Blood Bowl and how to play it, go check them out. If you want to watch some funny narrative, because there will be a full narrative that goes with this campaign. I'm not just doing this for the sake of making people play characters. There will be an ongoing story which takes them through the full 7 rounds of the round robin and the finals. And then overall, once I've done the full 7 rounds and the finals, the success or failure will determine whether or not I do this as a bigger thing with more players, maybe even a full 11s league. We'll see. It's just an experiment to play test, but hopefully you'll get something from it and you will enjoy it. Okay, so let me switch over to the teams so I can show you who is going to be playing what. Okay, so first off, we've got the Black Iron Slavers, and this is AP's team. So this is a Chaos Dwarf team, so we are having one team of legend in the game. I recommended Chaos Dwarves to AP because I think that they are actually quite a good team to learn on, because AP probably has the least experience with playing Blood Bowl out of all the various players. That being said, he made the team himself. He has opted to go with no Chaos Dwarves in his Chaos Dwarf team, depending on whether or not you consider Bull Centaur Blitzers as Chaos Dwarves themselves. So he's gone with 5 Hobgoblin linemen, no skills across them, so there's going to be a straight agility 3+ player, functioning like, I guess, a human lineman would. But then he's got those 2 powerful Chaos Dwarf Bull Centaur Blitzers, which have the additional move from Sprint, giving them 3 rushes, with Sure Feet to reroll, and then also Thick Skull. Their agility isn't great, but they will be able to, if they get the ball, they're able to move it with a lot of impunity, because they have that strength 4 as well. So he did also choose to take the points on a reroll. I think he's the only player that actually bought a reroll, because rerolls are so expensive in sevens. They cost double what they normally cost in 11's play, which means they're rare. Which means he as a player is going to get that one reroll, where the rest of the players probably won't, unless they roll something like brilliant coaching, or something else on the press, enough to give them a reroll. And he's in there at the full 600 team value, so no money left over for any other upgrades or any other inducements. Next we have the Iron Hold Hammerers, which is Big Spoon's dwarf team. So he's gone with full 4 positionals here, so 2 blitzers, both with block and thick skull, and then the runners with sure hands, there's thick skull as well, 1 runner, and then also 1 Troll Slayer. The Troll Slayer's got Dauntless, which you'll see there are quite a lot of teams that have Strength 4 carries in it. First off, you saw that with the Bull Centaurs, but you'll see there'll be more Strength 4 or Strength 5 or Strength 6 guys in here too. So having Dauntless is really good on a Troll Slayer here. Plus also Frenzy, and then he's got the 3 linemen with block, tackle, thick skull as well. There's not a lot of... Oh, actually, no, there are some dodge teams here. So the tackle versus dodge is really good in sevens, because your opponent has less players to move around the board with dodge. So the ability for these 3 linemen to sort of shut down dodging lanes will be quite crucial in the sevens game. He's also gone for 2 assistant coaches, so that means that on a brilliant coaching, he's got a good advantage towards getting a reroll. And he has 10,000 left over, meaning he's got a total team value of 590. All right, I'll move on to the High Peaks Mountaineers. So the High Peaks Mountaineers are an ogre team run by Lawson. He's decided that this particular ogre team has an elf as their coach. So we'll go through the details of that when we actually play the game. But because ogres, we call it an ogre team, and there are 4 ogres in there, but the rest of it is Noblar linemen, which are incredibly cheap. So he's actually got a bench here. He's got 6 Noblar linemen, and then he's got 7 Noblar linemen, 3 ogres, one of which is a run punter. So the regular ogres have throw teammate. The run punter has kick teammate. Functionally, it works very similar, although kick teammate can injure the player if you roll poorly. But the important thing here is that you can both throw teammate and kick teammate in a single turn. So it does give some opportunity to move the ball significantly on the field between doing both a throw teammate and a kick teammate, provided you can roll well on those boneheads and you can roll well on those passes in order to move those nose Noblars around. And if not, if he kicks it off the field or injures it horribly, there's a bench there to come back as well. He's got all 7 Noblars. With that being said, Noblars are low-cost linemen, so they don't count towards the current team value. So with a current team value of 445, even with an assistant coach, you can pretty much guarantee they're going to have inducements every single game against whoever they play. So it's going to be up to Lawson to pick the right inducements to really get these ogres over the line and doing well in the tournament. Next up, we've got the Death River Reavers, a Black Orc team being run by Fohammer. So he's gone for the 4 Black Orc blockers, each with Brawler and Grab. So they're strict 4 pieces. Brawler allows them to reroll 1 both down result. Grab allows them to, as long as their opponent hasn't got sidestep, move them wherever they want to. Or if they've got sidestep, it cancels out the sidestep, basically. And then he's got the 4 Goblin linemen, each which have dodge, right stuff, stunting, and thick skulls. So there is the opportunity, I believe, to get a trained troll for this team later on if he gets enough money. Otherwise, he's got those strength 4 pieces with the 4 Black Orcs. Well, they would need, because you're only going to have 4 positionals, so we need to drop a Black Orc to get a troll in, even if the money was there, basically. So maybe we won't see any goblins being thrown, but the option is there. And he went for the full 3 assistant coaches too, so good opportunity for Fohammer to snag some rerolls if brilliant coaching is rolled, which is the most common one on the table in sevens. And his team is fully paid out at the full 600. Now move on to the NPC teams. First off, we have the Slow Thicket Pantry Raiders, a halfling team. I decided to limit. Originally, I wanted to limit the teams in the tournament down to 2 team sets. So Old World Classic It's going to give you humans. It's going to give you halflings, ogres, nobility, Norse. And I gave the players the choice of what other league did they want to include. There was a lot of prevarication about, do we do the Badlands Brawlers, which gives you orcs, black orcs, or do we do the Elven League, which gives you then Dark Elves, Elven Union, High Elves, Wood Elves. In the end, because there was definitely players that wanted to play orcs, and we'd already spoken about bringing in an elf team, I decided to say, okay, we're going to have all three of those be available, which meant no undead, which meant no chaos. They might be available in future shows if this is successful and we do it again. But I did think, hey, I've got to put a tier 3 team in there to make sure the players get an opportunity to really kick a team around, so it's got to be halflings. So the Slow Thicket Pantry Raiders have a bench. They've got 9 players rather than just the 7. So that gives them 5 halfling linemen, 2 halfling catchers, no hefties in this list, just the 5 linemen and the 2 catchers, and then the 2 treemen as well. So they'll be able to throw those players around, not accurately, not with a great chance of landing. I mean, they have got strong arm. They're a little bit more accurate than the ogres are. But you've got all the regular issues that treemen have. They're slow with 2 movement. When they fall over, they're hard to get up again. You can use timber to help bring them up, but there's a good chance that those treemen will be spending a lot of time lying on the pitch. Specifically, we've gone for a 500 team value team build here, which means that if they're up against a team with 600, they can then put in a halfling chef, which gives them a good chance to get those extra re-rolls in as well, which is because halfling chefs are cheaper for halfling teams. All right, next up, my son really pushed me to put an elf team in. So we have a wood elf team, the Lauren Forest Drakes. Not a lot of skills at the start with the wood elf team, but they are really great players, provided they can stay alive. 4 linemen, all Age 2+. Then we've got a thrower and a catcher, and then finally a single war dancer. I asked my son what build he wanted to do. He really, really thought about going the 5 linemen, 2 war dancer, but we decided in the end to go with the 4 linemen, throw a catcher and a war dancer, which also leaves 10,000 treasury, hopefully towards getting a bench, because wood elves suffer from being knocked off the field. So hopefully in a future game I'll have enough points left over to put a bench in place. Next up, we've got the Icehorn Peak Jarls, a Norse team. So I actually quite enjoyed playing Norse in the Blood Bowl 2 computer game. I'd never really experienced on the tabletop. And I ended up going and buying a Norse miniatures team to play in the 2020 board game. And I actually found them really, really quite enjoyable. So I decided I'm going to put a Norse team into this league. If there is a team you could call my team, maybe I'll focus on the Icehorn Peak Jarls. But once again, it's more about making sure the players have fun and the show is watchable. So we've got 3 linemen, 2 Ulfanar, a Valkyrie, and I did decide to go with the build that puts a Yeti in there as well. So the Yeti is a big guy with the higher strength, but he's also got that unchanneled fury. So I really needed to be blocking or blitzing as much as possible, so he avoids effectively boning out on a 4+ or on a 1-3 basically. As long as he's blitzing or blocking, he will get to activate on a 2+. And of course, those 3 linemen have drunkard, which means they're not going to be rushing very far because they fall on a 1 or a 2 with a rush. And this team's got 5,000 treasury left over, which brings us to the final team, the Talabeclan Griffins, a Imperial Nobility team. So here I went with the 3 linemen, all of which have fend, so they can't be followed up on a push or a block. We've got a thrower. Then I've got 2 blitzers, which also double as catchers for the nobility team. And I managed to have enough money left over to have an ogre. So this is why I touched on the benefit of that Troll Slayer before, because you've got an ogre's team, you've got a Black Orc team with the 4 strength 4 players, you've got an ogre on this team, you've got the Bull Centaurs in the Kalstorf team, you've got the Treeman in the Halfling team. So, other than the Wood Elves, that Dauntless on that single Troll Slayer is going to be pretty key to dealing with a lot of these high strength players that are in this particular league. Anyway, so this team also has 2 assistant coaches. They're 600 on the nose, so they're likely with a few of these teams to give up some inducements going forward. So, what does a round 1 draw look like? Round 1 is going to be the Chaos Dwarves against the Halflings, the Dwarves against Norse, Ogres against Wood Elves, and Blackhawks against Nobility. I'm not sure yet what order these will happen in. It really comes down to when the players can get together. It was important to me that each player got to play a first round just against me, not against each other, at a home game, because the team on the left will be the home, team on the right will be the away. So it was particularly construed, so it was player versus NPC, player versus NPC, player versus NPC, etc., with all the players at home. Starting from round 2, you will start to see players playing players and NPCs playing NPCs. In fact, I think, unfortunately, because of the way the draw program I used, poor Arthur ended up with his first 4 games being against players. But sometimes that's the way random things work as well. So that is the overall league. I don't know if there's really much else to say about the game or about how it's going to work, except to say I hope it's something you want to watch. It'll be happening probably over the next 2 to 3 months on my channel. I'll try and get 2 or more videos up each week. If you like Blood Bowl, if you like roleplay, if you like seeing people make asses themselves on Tabletop Simulator, then come and check it out, because that's what it's all about. It's about having fun, about telling a story, and playing a game we love playing at the same time. Otherwise, do check out AP Gaming Reels channel. I do a lot of roleplay content on there. I currently play in a Pendragon game. I play in a D&D 5e game. And I'm regularly on AP's Discord too. But feel free to check it out. Otherwise, I will see you when the first game begins. Thanks for watching.